Hi guys, we'll be starting in a few seconds. I'm just finalizing, preparing our demo environment. Shouldn't take more than just a few seconds. Thank you. All right, we're ready. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're really excited to show you what we've been working on. My name is Alex, and I'm the head of growth and community at HumanFirst. I'm joined with Matt, our CTO, who's going to help answer any technical questions during the chat. In the chat during our demo. So we're based in Montreal, Canada, and we've been around since 2018. Our team was involved in the tech industry for quite some time. Our previous startup was in the password management space, and we sold that to Intel in 2014, and now our team has decided to get back together and work on another cool project that we'll be showing today. A little bit of context on our solution. Our solution is platform agnostic and really serves as the data layer or the data hub for any NLU project. So we really help streamline the accuracy of existing NLU models and help accelerate the design and development of new NLU models. So we'll be going through a couple scenarios to illustrate just this today. If you have any questions during the demo, feel free to use the webinar's chat function, and we'll try our best to answer them either through the chat or during a Q&A at the end. If ever we don't get to your question, nothing personal, but I'll do my best to answer them via email afterwards. One last thing before we start, I just wanted to mention that we are in our beta, and we have been onboarding many beta users in the past months. Our beta list is becoming almost full, so if you want to take advantage of this opportunity, you can actually request beta access for a year using the button that will pop up in the chat window, or else you can just head to humanfirst.ai and request a beta account there. You'll just have to simply fill out a form, and our team will be in touch via email to invite you to the platform. You can also invite a friend or colleague. You can refer a friend or colleague, and that's totally optional if you feel that you know someone that might have a use case to use our solution, and provide them the opportunity for a year-long beta access. Feel free to do so. All right, so let me go to HumanFirst Studio, and this is really what you see when you sign up to HumanFirst. So this is kind of our workspace dashboard, and this is where all your workspaces will be. A workspace essentially is where your NLU project resides, and you can invite colleagues to collaborate on workspaces. As you can see right here, I can invite a colleague, and that essentially helps you collaborate on workspaces together. So the first set of use cases we're going to be looking at are really related to improving the accuracy of existing NLU models. So let's just create a workspace pretty easily right here and import an existing NLU project. So I'll call this workspace car dealership. Create that right here, and there you go. Head into that workspace, and we'll import an existing project. We support BotPress, Raza, and CSVs, but for this demo, we'll import a Raza project. You can browse our files and import our NLU car dealership project from Raza. Let's import that. Awesome. And there you go. So again, this is Conversation Studio, and this is really where this is really the core of our product. So as you can see, we imported an NLU project from Raza. Pretty simple. This is a flat list of intents, probably similar to you if you've familiar to you if you've used NLU platforms in the past. So appointments, greetings, how are you, key replacement, opening closing time, wants to buy a car, etc. There are a few here. So let's go back to our use case, and really what we want to do here is we want to we have an existing NLU project and we want to improve it. So we've brought in this car dealership NLU project, and we're going to do a little bit of work through Studio to improve some of their intents and the whole NLU model in general. So the first use case we're going to be looking at is when we want to improve the size and quality of our training data for some intents. So let me just pick an intent right here. Let's just call this one. Let's pick, I don't know, opening and closing times. Okay. So what time can we come? When do you guys close? What time do you guys close? Okay, so this is an intent really related to opening and closing times, which is obviously important for our NLU project. But seeing these that list of utterances related to this intent, I feel that we could probably add a few more here and improve the kind of the scope of this intent. So there's two ways to do this. Either we do this manually and kind of come up with new utterances related to this intent, but that's obviously long, manual, and tedious. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to import data to our workspace to help speed up the training and the optimization process of this intent right here. So we can go into manage data and import utterances right here. So let's take utterance data car dealership and import that data. Let's wait a little bit here. So while this is loading, maybe I can explain a few more things from the platform. So HumanFirst allows you to upload utterance data, which is very simple. It's through a text file, very simple format. Each line in the text file is essentially a unique utterance, so you can import that pretty easily. And the other way to import conversational data is if you want to import two-way conversations, so conversations either between a human agent and a customer, or a chatbot and a customer, you can do that through HumanFirst via CSV. So it's pretty simple CSV. 4 columns, unique conversation ID, a timestamp, the source, either the client or the expert, and the utterance as a string. So let's wait a few more seconds for this to process. Shouldn't take too long. Awesome. So now that that's uploaded, we can actually go right here, click explore. This essentially allows us to explore our data. We see there's a whole bunch of utterances related to our car dealership use case, but let's not spend too much time here. Let's go back to our intents and go back to the one we actually want to improve. So we looked at opening and closing times, saw that, okay, this is not too bad, but we want to add more. So we can click on Get Utterance Suggestions right here. So as soon as we click that, we're essentially shown a set of utterances related to the intent we actually want to improve. So can you please tell us what time we can come? So these are all really related to opening and closing times, and we can accept these utterances here. So these are from our actual data set that we just imported, essentially helping us speed up the training process of this intent. So can you please tell us what time we can come? Quelle heure vous fermez les soirs? So this is French for what time do you close in the evening. So we can add all of these here. All these are good. Obviously, we can accept or reject. This is really where the active learning comes in, and the more you interact with this, the better the suggestions become. So let me just add a few here, and these are all good. This is all good. All good. Okay, maybe this is okay. This might not be that great. You close early today, right? But tomorrow you will be open. Êtes-vous ouvert demain? Are you guys open tomorrow? We can reject these. And now we are starting to get even better results. So we can stop at this point right here. And we look at our now newly trained intent with a lot more utterances, essentially really improving this intent right away. We can actually, look at another one here. Wants to buy a car. I'm looking for a used car. I'm looking for a Honda in French. Again, we can do this as many times as we want, actually, and this really speeds up the training process for intents that we feel need improvement. All right, these are all good. So we can stop at this point right here. So now that we've improve these intents with more training phrases. Let's look at another use case where we actually want to reclassify, problematic data or actually debug our model. For example, right here, what we can see is opening and closing times and wants to know business hours, which is pretty much similar. If we look at their training phrases, we see that there are conflicting training phrases between both of these intents. So what HumanFirst can do through its UI is very easily allow you to merge intents. So I can take wants to know business hours, drag it over opening and closing times, and decide whether I want to merge these intents. So here we have the ability to either create a child or merge. Creating a child essentially adds taxonomy or hierarchy to your model. But for this example, what we want to do is actually merge intents. And there you go. So we were able to merge these two intents. They've essentially combined their training phrases together, and we got rid of our conflicting intent. So let's actually look at another use case. Let's look at appointment. And now we see that there are a lot of things related to appointments in this intent. So oil change and tire change. I want to put tires on. I need to change my tires and stuff like that. But if we look at this right here, I'm actually interested in only kind of isolating oil changes. I don't want my appointment intent to capture everything. I want it to only capture oil change type of utterances. So let me actually click refactor utterances right here and find an utterance that is really what I'm looking for. So I'm only looking for oil change. So let me select that one. So as soon as I select an utterance, HumanFirst automatically re-ranks your entire list of utterances in this particular intent, and essentially helping you select related utterances to speed up the selection process. So oil change, changing oil, changement d'huile, this is French for changing oil. We can select a lot here. Oil change, tire change, these are all good. Oil change, car wash, service oil change, oils there, oil. This is good. Changement d'huile, this is all good. Maintenance package, this is all good. Regular service includes oil change. I'm also interested in that. And maintenance A, this is good. All right, so we were able to select all the utterances that contain oil change. And now what we're going to do is create an intent from those selected utterances, essentially working the other way around. So what I'll do right here is right under appointment, I'll take advantage of that hierarchy. Helps me organize my model a little better and visualize my intent data a little better. And I'll create an intent under appointment. Let's call this one oil change. And obviously what I can do here is I can continue adding suggestions from the data that I previously imported to, even add more training data to the oil change intent. Oil change today, these are all good. These are all good. These are all good. I can just create that intent right away. And there you go. So now this intent looks, very well trained with sufficient utterances, and I'm happy with that. So now that we're done with this work and we feel that we've actually improved our model, and obviously this is a very simple example. We have to keep it short for this demo. I'm actually ready to export this back to Rasa, export this back to my NLU platform. So I can go into export workspace right here and select Rasa and select the intents I want to export. So we very carefully isolated oil change. So I'm not very interested in appointment. I'm just interested in this oil change. So I'll unselect appointment and I'll export my data to an MD file, which I can then very easily bring back to Rasa. And there you go. So we have our MD file that's ready to be brought into Rasa. Awesome. So let's jump to another set of use cases where HumanFirst can provide value. And this is when we want to accelerate the design and development of new NLU models and projects. So let's go back to our workspaces and let's actually create a new workspace. Let's call this one airline. And really what we want to imagine is, we're given a project for an airline chatbot and don't necessarily know, what intents we need to create and train, but we do have a corpus to help us with that. So we'll go to our airline workspace, we'll import unlabeled data, and we'll import them in a form of utterances right here. Let's go back to our files, utterance data airline. Great, let's import that data. Shouldn't take too long to process. And really what we want to do is, so we're at kind of the POC level here, and all we have really on hands is a corpus of data that we can use. So this is what we'll be playing with for this scenario. So let's just wait a few more seconds. Shouldn't take too long. Awesome. So we can explore that data. Awesome. So, as you saw before, we are in the explore part of the product. We can look through our utterances pretty easily. So really, HumanFirst speeds up the exploration phase of a corpus to really help also speed up the creation process of an LNU model. So if we're curious to see if there's something specific here, we can use our search and realize what actually merits an intent being created. So let's say I'm interested in seeing if, okay, in my corpus of data, is there anything related to rental cars? So let me just write rental here. Okay, so rental car in Baltimore. I like that. That sounds pretty much fitting what I'm looking for, and there are a lot of utterances related to this keyword. But I'll actually just select the utterance. And what happens here again, this re-ranks our entire list of utterances to help us source and select utterances that are related to the previous one I selected. So ground transportation, Baltimore. Now I'm finding actually pretty cool things right here related to ground transportation in Baltimore. So I'll just select a few here. Let me actually go lower. This is all related to ground transportation. So this is actually interesting. So let me create this intent right here and call it ground transportation. And let me create that intent. So I have that intent created, really related to ground transportation. And let me do the same thing. So what we did before was we used our search to find utterances related to rental car. We found that there was a lot of things related to ground transportation, which obviously showed that it merits its own intent. But what we can now do is kind of browse through our utterances here and select one that we find interesting. So which airlines fly from Boston to Washington? What flights leave from Phoenix? Okay, let's just pick this one. Which airlines fly? Okay, flight information from Pittsburgh to Denver. I selected that one by accident, but for the sake of this demo, let's use it. Information on flights from Pittsburgh. Okay, so all about flight information. You can select a lot here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff related to flight information. A lot of people are interested in flight information. So let's not go too crazy here. There's so many, so we have a good amount, and let's create an intent. Let's call it flight information. Awesome. So we can actually go back to our intents, and let's actually go to ground transportation. So we have that intent. We obviously selected a decent amount of training phrases. We can obviously go back here and get more from our suggestions. Ground transportation. There's a few more, and we can add more here. This is all from our suggestion, helping us speed up the training process tremendously. But I actually found something interesting in this one. In ground transportation, I know I had something related to rental cars. So these are really, very, I guess, generic and talking about ground transportation, but I want to isolate rental car in Baltimore. So let me refactor. Let me click rental car in Baltimore. Okay, show me rental cars. So these are all good, all related to rental cars. And let me move, so let me refactor these training phrases into something a little more specific. So we're into ground transportation. Let's isolate rental cars. All right, and obviously we can add more here. Rental cars in Washington, D.C., rental cars in Boston. What about a rental car in Denver? Now we're getting good results and we're really isolating what we're looking for. We can go back and get utterance suggestions right here related to rental cars. Now we're talking. So, what we wanted is to isolate rental cars, and this is what we're doing right here. Can I have a rental car? And this is really speeding up this training process. On your car in New York, can I rent a car? Can you rent a car? How much would a car rental cost in Atlanta? Car rates. Now we're getting things related to car rates, which is cool. We're discovering that. We're discovering, new utterances that might even merit their own intent. So please list the prices. So let me stop right here and let me go back to rental cars. Let me refactor utterances once again. Let me go. I found stuff related to costs. Okay, what are the costs? There you go. So I selected 2 here. This essentially helped me re-rank my entire utterance list, really related to rental car rates. These are awesome. Now what I can do is, again, refactor and utilize really this taxonomy and the hierarchy, and I have this intent related to rental cars, but now I want something even more specific. Let me call it rental car. Well, let me actually just call it rates because it's under rental cars, which makes it pretty good. And again, I can add more here, and really this speeds up the whole entire process. Awesome. So we've been able to refactor something very specific. So we started with a very generic intent, and through the hierarchy, we were able to discover more specific intents that we feel merit having their own unique one. And then again, utilizing that hierarchy, we were able to find another intent that's even more specific under rental cars related to rates. So once again, we can export that and use it for our NLU project. Obviously, we can continue with this process and really start developing a more extensive intent list. But for the sake of this demo, let's just keep it pretty simple with these created intents. So let me click on Export Workspace and let me select all of them. I'm interested in all of these intents that I created, and let me export them to a CSV. I'll export that data, and we can open up that CSV. And there you go. So we have a CSV containing the intent name with their respective training phrases. Awesome. That's super. Well, I think I'll stop the demo at this point, and maybe we can jump to our Q&A. I see there are a few questions in the chat, so maybe I can jump in and answer a few of them. So first question here, can we try it out? Yeah, so you might have not been there at the beginning, but we are in our beta, and we are currently offering a free year-long beta license to anyone who requests one from our demos. So you should actually see in the chat an offer where you can fill out a form, essentially requesting beta access, and our team will be in touch with you with login information and sign-up information. Is your engine domain specific? Does it work for? Yeah, so that's a great question. So yeah, our engine is domain agnostic, and we really build classifiers based on the data that's been categorized. So we don't yet provide pre-built domain specific classifiers, although we do have template intents in our roadmap that will definitely provide similar benefits. So another question here, do you flag duplicated utterances if they appear in several intents? Great question. So you saw an example just before where we merged 2 intents that had not duplicated utterances, but very similar ones. So we don't yet expose these metrics but this is on our short-term roadmap to actually expose these metrics and really facilitate the identification of conflicting intents and ambiguous training phrases. So we're currently integrating metrics based on dynamic testing of the workspace data, and this will essentially highlight problematic examples by doing test runs with multiple train and test splits. So essentially, the ambiguous training phrases will be surfaced so that appropriate actions might be taken. Any other questions, guys? So a question from Stefan. What is your pricing model? Great question. So obviously we are in our beta, and our pricing model is not yet set in stone, but we're figuring out things daily on kind of our users' usage patterns to help us really figure out the pricing structure we want to have post beta. But what we're currently looking at is a tiered pricing model where we cap usage with regards to the number of training phrases. So we're not limiting the number of intents, workspaces, or other things. Really, our first tier would be free. So more on a freemium model there would be free and would include 1,000 training phrases. So we don't limit intents. It's really the number of training phrases across your workspaces. Our second tier, we're looking at a price point at $300 per month for 10,000 training phrases. And our final tier would be for enterprise and would work on a case-by-case basis. So, we'd support on-prem, premium SLA, premium support, and other things like that would be scoped out on a case-by-case basis. But for the time being, we are free for a year for people that request a beta license. So act quick. Any other questions, guys? Okay, a question from Jyoti. Do you support entities? So right now our product focuses on intents, since this is where we identified the biggest pain points. However, we're planning on actually deploying entity support in the very short term, and all of those release notes and new things that we bring to the product, we all document them in our GitHub wiki. If you're interested, simply head to humanfirst.ai, click on documentation, and you'll be able to kind of follow our progress through our GitHub wiki there. All right. So, as we're close to being out of time, guys, I'll let those who haven't yet had the chance to sign up to the beta to do so now. And to any unanswered questions, I'll make sure to answer them via email as soon as possible. Once again, thanks a lot for the time and your questions today. We're very excited to have you on board our solution. So have a great day, guys. Thank you very much.